Hi, ladies and gentlemen, you know what it is. We are back. It is time for Top of the Morning here on TUC. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Let's get this morning popping.
Hey, buddy, do you like NASCAR? Do you like a tribe called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you'd love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative.
Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative.
You're a little over Cardi B, and you're repulsed by the thought of Hogmaw. Check out the Urban Conservative. You ready? If you think the earth is flat and always on that weird side of YouTube, check out the Urban Conservative. They'll set you straight.
If you're in a chasing dopey and you love saltfish and festival, check out the Urban Conservative.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, top of the morning to you, yours truly, Abdul Ali in the building with you this morning. Happy Friday. TGIF. Thank God it's Frig Dag. Excited to be back with you here on Top of the Morning. I know it's been a hot minute, but you are tuned into the best 30-minute morning show on the internet. We are live on Facebook at The Urban Conservative. Also, check us out over at YouTube at TUC Twins. Make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell on YouTube. Let us know where you are watching and or listening from so that we can give you a shout out in the comments. It has been an amazing, fantastic, and wonderful week, folks, but it is almost time for the weekend. Jump in the comment section. Let us know what you got planned for this weekend. If there's any events or things like that you plan on making. I do want to start out by giving a massive shout out to our good friend Michael Watley, who has become the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate here in the great state of North Carolina. Big shouts out to Michael Watley, who is now the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. Did an amazing job as the RNC chairman, an amazing job as the NCGOP chairman, did a lot of work back in the days on the George Bush campaign. But shouts out to Michael Watley taking on Roy the Pooper Scooper Cooper for governor, somebody we don't need in the United States Senate. And I've said this on multiple occasions, and we'll say it again. If we do not hold the line here in North Carolina, you can just pretty much forget about that America First agenda. It is going to be a wrap if we do not hold the line here in North Carolina. So make sure if you are able to make phone calls, talk to your neighbors, be a part of the campaign team, get out and support our good friend Michael Watley, who is running for U.S. Senate here in the great state of North Carolina. Speaking of Senate races, I do just got to take a second and talk about for just a moment the interesting thing that happened in Texas with Jasmine Crockett. And part of the problem I think that you see here, number one, is that people don't want racism as the major focus of your campaign. If everything is white people are evil, white people are trying to stop me, that's not going to go too well in a state like Texas. And we saw how that panned out. So, again, I think I don't know who's going to pull that out, Cornyn or Paxson. I don't know if Trump's going to jump in the middle of that one and make an endorsement, but we'll see how Texas pans out. But here in North Carolina, folks, we definitely have to hold the line and get my man Michael Watley across the finish line. And we'll probably have him either on Top of the Morning or on the Urban Conservative Podcast. So y'all stay tuned. We'll definitely get Watley on to talk to you folks across North Carolina about what his plans are to take on Roy Cooper. So shout out to him. Now, first and foremost, I've gotten all the shout outs out of the way. One of the interesting things, as some of you may know, is I am here in the great state of North Carolina. I am in the fantastic city of Charlotte. Again, jump in the comment section. Let us know where you are watching from. But we've got some great local news happening here in the city of Charlotte. The Eastland Sports Complex, they did break ground on the Eastland Sports Complex. I think that is going to be an amazing opportunity. You hear people all the time say, oh, our young people, they don't have anything to do for our young people. So I think this is going to be a humongous opportunity for our young people in the city of Charlotte to have this sports complex. The Eastland Sports Complex is going to be part of the 80-acre Eastland Yards development. It used to be where Eastland Mall operated from 1975 to 2010. And if you live in Charlotte, you remember Eastland Mall. It started out nice. I remember when I first moved here. Eastland Mall was the joint. I don't know what happened. I know what happened, but it went down. So hopefully this will be a great use of that facility, a great use of the Eastland Mall area. It'll bring some economic vitality back to that side of town. Hopefully that'll be the case. Also in Charlotte area news, we've got the Silfab solar incident. A chemical leak at the Fort Mill facility is continuing to cause disruptions, with at least one school remaining closed today as safety investigations proceed. And people need to be mindful that solar, while it is, it's a great way to get energy in some cases, it is still dangerous. People don't realize how dangerous it is for solar energy. The production of the solar panels is something that can cause a lot of problems. So that investigation is still going on. The city of Charlotte is pushing forward with a $25 million upgrade to modernize the Bojangles Coliseum. Kind of on the fence on that one. If you've ever been to Bojangles Coliseum, it's kind of dated, needs some help. But I also think that we need to look at how the city council is spending money. So, like I said, I'm on the fence on that one. We'll see how that pans out. Authorities in Charlotte are searching for a missing elderly man in Northeast Charlotte, and a separate investigation is underway after a gun was discovered in a middle school parking lot. There are some delays in the south end of Charlotte. The Blue Line and parts of the rail trail will face shuts down due to ongoing construction. So there's your little Charlotte update. On the national front this morning, though, biggest news in the world right now on the national front. First things first is President Trump is stepping up and he's demanding a total surrender, saying, quote, "I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. Now is the time to stand up for the Iranian people and help take back your country. Accept immunity. We'll give you immunity. You'll be perfectly safe with total immunity, or you'll face absolutely guaranteed deletion." I don't think y'all want to play with him like that. Something is telling me y'all might want to do that. Now, I've made a point of saying this, and one of the things that I find interesting, you have people in our country who are free to criticize President Trump. They're free to criticize they're free to criticize the local state government. Nothing you could do in Iran. You understand? That is not something you could do in Iran. You are not free to question your own government in Iran. You're just not free to do it. And that's something I think people need to recognize, is that while I would suggest that I'm not a fan of sending our ground troops in, I am not a fan of having to engage in war. If you're going to do it, if you're going to engage in a conflict, let me say, then make sure you have a clear, concise plan, which I think if there was an administration that had one, it would be this one. I think we need to do it quickly. We need to do it efficiently. And I don't think we need to be meddling in nation building. We've seen how that's gone on before, the idea of nation building. So Trump calling for the immediate surrender from Iranian National Guard, military, and police to lay down their arms. Now, there's plenty of video out there of what Americans are doing and from a naval perspective and what Israel is doing, but people need to recognize that they're past the point of negotiation. There comes a point when you have a president who has to make a decision. Obama made the decision. He did what he did in Libya, mindful that he did it without congressional approval, dropped more bombs than any recent president. But this idea that the Democrats are now against what they were for, because you best believe if this was Kamala Harris doing this, they'd be 1,000,000% for it. That's just, I'm not even going to go too deep into that, but I will just say if it was Kamala Harris, they would be in favor of it. So you got to think, you know, this idea of us sending in ground troops. I don't know if y'all saw the video of the national defense minister in Iran saying, "Where's Trump's army? We're not sending anybody on the ground. It's 2026, homie. You ain't got to do all that." And we have the most advanced military technology on the planet. So we'll see how it all pans out. We'll see how that breaks down. I think Trump is doing the right thing. I think if there was a Secretary of War and a presidential administration that can pull off this conflict in a way that minimizes casualties, and rest in peace to the 6 armed services members that have already lost their lives. Rest in peace to them. Condolences to their families. But if there's an administration I would trust doing something like this and making it a brief, very concerted effort to get in, get out, get done what we need to get done, and make sure those people are free, I would trust the Trump administration in doing that. Now, speaking of the Trump administration, this is the interesting thing right here. As some of you may have heard, Kristi Noem is out, but she's not all the way out. Okay, she's out. You know, she's out as the national security, the Secretary of Homeland Security. But you've got Markwayne Mullins stepping in. Okay, after a rocky tenure marked by controversies, Trump removes Noem from Homeland Security and taps Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin. He's been a fighter on border security and conservative priorities to step in, sparking Senate confirmation buzz. Now, let's be clear. I don't think this was a bad idea. I think the temperature was a little hot with Kristi running things. I think once you saw Tom Homan jump in and you saw how Tom kind of calmed the situation down out there in Minneapolis, I think most people could kind of see the writing on the wall. Not that I think she did a bad job. I just think that the temperature was a little too high. And I think going into the midterms, Trump realizes you've got to put somebody in there who can keep the temperature low and still get the job done. And I don't honestly think that those congressional hearings that Noem participated in helped very much. You know, this idea that Americans are, you know, in favor of watching other Americans get killed by our own government. And let's call it what it is. Pretty in the good situation were not good. The optics of those situations weren't good. Yes, people made bad decisions. You know, you don't go antagonizing law enforcement, but the optics are terrible. So I think Trump did the right thing, moving her out of the way so that the temperature could come down. You could get somebody like a Markwayne Mullin in there, which I think is going to be a phenomenal opportunity. And I don't even think he's going to have a problem getting confirmed by the Senate. I just don't see that being an issue. I think that once you look at how the midterms pan out, once this tax season is over with and everything like that, I think the temperature will be brought down enough to where Republicans can make the case to the American people that we need to continue in governing. I think we also, and we're going to talk about this real quick, I think these midterm elections, Republicans have to be very, very careful. We have to be extremely careful going into this. You know, unless the American people feel like they're getting more bang for their buck, unless they feel like they're doing financially better, it doesn't matter what 401k say. It doesn't matter, you know, anything else, but do people feel like they're doing better than they were 4 years ago? And that's the message people need to get out. You know, that's the message that the Republicans need to be talking about, is the reduction in crime, the reduction in murders, the reduction in fentanyl and human trafficking. Those are the things I think people are going to want to hear during the midterm. But you let me know. You jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is it more important to talk about the economy? Is it more important to talk about safety? And do you think Republicans have what is going to do you think they're going to have what it takes to hold on to their majorities in the House? Now, I will say, and shouts out to my homegirl Lori Buckout. North Carolina is probably going to add another House rep, and my good friend Lori Buckout up there in the first congressional district. I think when you look at what North Carolina has been able to accomplish here from an economic perspective and some other things, North Carolina is going to be in a good spot. But I will keep our eye on that North Carolina U.S. Senate race and that Texas U.S. Senate race, either Paxson or Corn, and that's going to be really, really important to figure out what happens next. But y'all jump in the comment section. Let us know what you think. We will be right back here each and every morning for Top of the Morning right here on the Urban Conservative, the best 30-minute morning show on the interwebs. I got to give a big shout out to my twin brother from the same mother, no other, Raheem Architect Soto. This has been Top of the Morning here on the Urban Conservative. If there's something you want us to cover here on the Urban Conservative on TUC, you let us know. Get at us. Big shouts out to the MEC GOP. Big shouts out to the 12th District Republican Party. All my homies out in Charlotte. We will be live and direct again with y'all on Monday morning. All right. Have a great, fantastic, positive, and productive Friday and a great weekend. Stay tuned. Hit that notification bell so you know when we drop content and when we go live right here on the Urban Conservative. Top of the morning, y'all.